and welcome to the Knitting News. Today we have 3 generations of knitters ready to bring you a wonderful podcast. Mummy.
Pip, that's lovely you did that, but you knocked my hair out, so we'll try again.
Yeah.
Take one.
Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Cat Crafty Knits Podcast. It's going to be as hectic as ever this episode. I can't speak. This episode is going to be as hectic as it always is because, as you can see, there's 3 of us for a start, and we're also at my mum's house. So yeah, let's see how this goes. We've got lots to share for you today.
Mum, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm her mum.
Nanny. You're so funny. So yeah, here we are. It is the 21st of February 25.
And I've got short hair.
And you've got short hair. You're very pleased with your short hair, aren't you? When did you have it cut?
It feels like tomorrow, but it's not tomorrow.
It wasn't tomorrow, it was the day before yesterday.
Yeah. Tomorrow
would be tomorrow and not...
Tomorrow hasn't come yet.
Oh yeah, yesterday I mean.
You mean the day before though?
Yeah. It feels like yesterday, but...
So, we're 3 generations of knitters now, aren't we, Pippa?
Yeah.
Because what have you learned to do recently?
Knit.
You've learned to knit. And
If you look on Instagram, then you'll find me knitting.
And are you enjoying knitting?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That doesn't sound too sure. Are you sure?
Talk about your experience of knitting so far. What do you like? What don't you like?
I don't really like how I mess it up and then I can't actually fix it again.
Well, I've been fixing it for you, haven't I? So it's not too bad.
You'll soon learn how to fix it yourself.
And you've also been picking up stitches. As long as you don't pull
Yeah.
them too far, haven't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
I've been knitting 50 years and I still make mistakes and drop stitches and have to do some picking up and unpicking. So it's normal. It's part of knitting.
Very knitting is.
I just do it way too often.
And what else about your knitting experience have you found so far? What do you complain about sometimes?
That my fingers get achy.
You get achy fingers, don't you? Yeah.
And hands. And,
So,
wrists.
do you know why?
What?
I have told you why. It's because you're new, and when you're new, it's quite common to be really tight and pull things really tight when you knit, and then that makes your hands ache more. As you get better and you get more relaxed, then your hands won't hurt so much.
Okay.
Until you get to my age.
And then you're old and your hands hurt because you're old.
And because I get arthritis in my fingers.
Wait, how old are you?
I don't think we need to tell everybody, do we?
I wonder how many views this video is going to get.
So, first of all, shall we start off by introducing what we are wearing? So, first of all, you will all notice that I am wearing my finished Karamelli sweater. This one's been on my needles, was on my needles for a little while, and I think in the last podcast I showed it finished but unblocked. So here, I'm now wearing it blocked and all done. There is a random end in here, because am I the only one that does that? Just forgets an end, and it's now going to be there forever, because I'll probably never go back to cut it off.
Maybe you should do it when you get home. If you remember.
That would be a
If you remember.
That would be a sensible
You remind her.
But it's part of the furniture now. It just kind of stays there. That jumper. Do you remember the jumper that we got the matching yarns for? The James C. Brett
Yes.
jumper that I knit. Gosh, I think it was about 8 years ago now.
That's when we went to Wonderwall Wales.
Was it Wonderwall, that
We bought
one?
that.
That one I've recently put in the bin because it just kept falling apart, particularly on the cuffs of the wrists. And it got to a point where I was like, I can't really save this anymore.
But
I think
you have-
I've fixed it twice.
But you have worn that virtually non-stop.
I have. I've worn it like forever.
Because
It's my favourite.
You knitted it when you were pregnant with Pippa.
Yes,
As
that's
a
right.
pregnancy jumper, you made it.
I did. I was pregnant with you, so yes, 7 years old. And that one had a strand under the armpit that had been in there 7 years. It was still there when I threw it in the bin a few weeks ago. So yeah, I should also probably say before we get too far into this episode that it's going to be noisy here today. When I decided that I was going to bring all my podcasting stuff, I forgot that Mum is having a new ensuite putting in their bathroom upstairs. So we would have been filming in the craft room, which is next door. Obviously, there's building work going on up there, so that's not going to happen today. So we're in the we're in the dining room instead. Oscar, the littlest, is also in the next room, and if he doesn't show an appearance, I will be surprised because he will wonder where we've gone.
He's just enjoying Grandad's company at the
Yeah,
moment.
if you hear the odd shriek, that's him.
Or Grandad.
Or Grandad. And yeah, Mum, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing Birdsong, which is, I can't remember who the designer is, but
I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, it's on Ravelry. I was very proud of this jumper actually when I knitted it because I've not knitted anything quite like this before. And
Oh, I can see why it's called Birdsong.
it's out of yarn out of my stash. The main colour it was hand dyed by Kozy Kitchen Fibre, and the darker colour which the birds are knitted in is I think that was some Belinda Reid
I like that
yarn.
colour. They look really nice.
yarn
together.
which I had in my stash from donkey's years ago. So actually I think they work really well together.
Yeah, no, they do really work. How
Yeah.
long have you had that one now?
Well, there's 2 or 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it took 2 or 3 years. I know when I started, because I started when I was on holiday with my friend in France, who's an avid knitter as well, and we do spend a lot of time sitting in the sun knitting. And I did most of the yoke in France before I got it home, and that was October year before last.
Year before last. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a jumper. I'm wearing a jumper and a t-shirt.
A cheap hoodie from Amazon, I think. But never mind, we'll plan it better next time and make sure you're wearing a knitted one next time too. You've got a few, haven't you? So, yeah.
Maybe I should knit a jumper sometime after
Well,
my hat.
shall we talk about your hat next? Do you want to show everyone your hat?
Yeah, just
Sit down. I'll pass it to you, and don't knock Nanny because she's got her drink.
Okay.
So there is your project.
Thanks.
First of all, do you want to show the bag? The bag's interesting. I can't remember anything about it, but it came from Nanny, so she'll be able to tell us.
That was handmade by a lady whose name I should remember. JanTillett Design. She does the most amazing felt work. It's absolutely beautiful. And actually this bag,
Wait a minute, Mum. Wait for the dog to finish.
absolutely beautiful quilting she does, but also she upcycles old woolen jumpers. So I think this is upcycled from this used to be a jumper before it became a
Oh, a
band.
jumper. What is it like? Is it actually a knitted jumper that's been felted?
Yeah, I think it was probably a
nice.
brought jumper rather than a hand knitted jumper, but it was a jumper, probably jumper before it became a bag.
So yeah, there you go. So, what have you got in there, Pippa?
Oh, okay. I have got it. I thought that was my... I
Wait a
dropped
minute,
it.
you're tying it in knots now, man. So Pippa, tell us about your hat.
So, I made a pom-pom for my pom-pom set, but then the pom-pom turned out a bit too big. So we threw the pom-pom set in the bin.
We didn't, it was, there was bits of card that came, it was basically a pom-pom set where you made a unicorn with a pom-pom body, and it was just some rubbishy bits of card, and it wasn't very good really, was it? We made the pom-pom, but we didn't use the bits of card that came in the set, we used my pom-pom makers, which then meant that it wasn't the right size for the set to make the unicorn. And you decided that you didn't want a unicorn anyway, didn't you? So that's why bits of card went in the recycling. And then what did you decide you wanted to do with your pom-pom?
So then I got left with a giant pom-pom. and I didn't want to
Good camera.
and I didn't want to throw it away. I wanted to do something with it, so I tried playing basketball with it in the living room.
Right, and how did that go?
And I got bored.
Bored.
So I decided that why don't I try knitting a hat to put my pom-pom on, and now I'm left with this.
And here it is.
So you've
And
actually started to knit.
now I'm probably going to be knitting for a long time.
So this hat pattern, we're sort of following a pattern. We've loosely looked at the Musselburgh Hat by Isolde. However, I swapped out the make one increases for knit front backs because I thought you'd be able to do that type of increase easier as your first set of increases. And you've done really well so far, haven't you? You've now done all of your increases and you're just about starting the bit where if you cover your face, Pippa, in fact we've got 3 faces to cover so it'll be harder, but it will concentrate on, it will focus on that. It's not going to because my face is still in it. Back. There we go. Hopefully that's got it. Anyway, we get the idea. There's not much there to see at the minute, is there? And I've forgotten what I was saying now.
So you're getting on with it a lot, aren't you?
So yeah, no, you've done all of your increases now, haven't you? And you're just at the point where you can knit round and round and round and round. And yeah, see how it goes. This is your yarn, isn't it, Pippa?
Yeah.
And this, I can't actually remember the name of the type of
Colourway?
no, not the colourway. The type. Yeah, it's a Stylecraft yarn, is what I'm trying to say. But I can't remember which one it is or any of the makeup, so I will pop that on the screen as well. I did try and look it up, but I hadn't actually written it down, so I couldn't. So that's that one. And yeah, you've been getting on okay, haven't you?
Mhm.
You're quite enjoying your knitting adventure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm knitting right now.
you are knitting right now. Good demonstration. So yeah, the other thing I was going to say actually about your plans for your knitting was that what do you want to do once you finished your hat? If you get on doing your hat well, what was your next plan?
A jumper.
You want to
Made
knit a
out
jumper?
of the same wool.
Yeah, so this wool that we've got, the Stylecraft yarn, it wasn't one that I bought or anything, it was one that I got gifted by a good friend of mine who I went to uni with. Her mum died fairly recently and she had a massive stash of yarns. Most of it's stuff that I wouldn't use, so a lot of it I gave away or took into work and it's been repurposed there. But this one, mainly because I thought you would like the colours and it'd be a handy, easy one, it would wash well for you to have a jumper out of, so there was enough of it for it to be probably a jumper quantity for me actually, but certainly a few things for you, so there's lots of it. So now the plan at that point wasn't that you'd use it to knit because you weren't knitting at the time, but there's definitely enough there that if you get on well with your hat, you'll be able to go ahead and maybe start a jumper. But it depends on how you get on because you don't have a huge attention span for it, do you? You only do a few stitches at a time and then you get bored.
Yeah. Because my fingers and
You get a bit achy fingers, don't you? Yeah.
achy.
We have to teach you some finger exercises for knitters.
Stretch.
Different stretches.
Don't click then, no.
No,
Don't click.
that's why they hurt.
Who's going to go next? Who's going to talk about their... Well, first of all, should we say what we've got? So for me, I've got 3 works in progress to talk about. No, nothing finished apart from my Karamelli, which doesn't really count because it was finished last time I spoke to you. And then I've got a sewing project to show. And then what about you?
I think I have 4 projects on the go at the moment.
4? That's not bad.
But that's thanks to my daughter, who keeps giving me projects to do.
Actually, that's true. I've got something that's definitely been finished a while to talk about, which links into what you're going to talk about. But yeah, carry on.
Okay. And
You're the daughter.
one sewing project which came out of the loft this morning, which I started a while ago, but we'll come on to that later. Yeah. So.
Do you want to go first?
Okay, so I guess other than the sewing project, the first thing I started was this is an over the ocean jumper designed by Cat, and I started it last summer.
The second one.
This was the
this is your third.
This was the It was my third one.
Or fourth? You've done 2 of the kids.
So I've done 2 for the children.
Yeah.
And this was the third. And then I did the grey one as the fourth.
Yes, that's right.
I like the Mickey Mouse thing.
So I started this one as a test knit for Catherine. Sorry, Cat, I should say.
It's fine, you can call me Catherine. Mum doesn't call me Cat, and it's actually kind of weird when she does call me Cat.
We went through my stash together and we found this lovely green wool, which is by Wooltops. Andrew Bowman and Wooltops. And we thought, oh, that would be lovely. I'll make a jumper. I had enough quantity there to make an over the ocean for my husband.
That one was from Stitch Fest when it was still in Taunton, wasn't it?
That's right. That's going back.
Again, that was the same time. That was.
You were pregnant with.
I was pregnant with Pip.
Were you pregnant with Oscar?
No, I think it was Pip.
It was Pip. It was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
It was the year before pre-COVID when we had such Stitch Fest, which is held in Newton Abbot now, but was held in Totnes. It was awful weather. The roads flooded.
Yeah, we barely got there, did we?
We barely got there. And then I remember you running down the hill to catch the minibus to take us back to the
I was quite heavily pregnant as well, yeah.
Because at the last minute she had to go back into the school buildings where it was being, one of the venues it was being held in for a wee because she was so heavily pregnant.
Yeah. I was like, what did I go back in for? But yeah, of course it's a wee.
So
Too much information.
So anyway, that's where the wool came from. I started it last summer because Catherine, as I say, Catherine wanted me to do this test knit and started it, and after about 6 inches of doing the yoke I thought, I don't think that's you're going to get any more definition. So we put that to one side. Catherine went through her stash, and then Catherine found some lovely, beautiful, it was flecked wool, but
it was, I think I've shown pictures of it on the podcast before. It's the Stranded Dye Works Merino DK. And
so I started again. This got put to one side, and I started again with the new yarn and knitted that in between. So this got put to one side. When we went on a short break to Shropshire beginning of October, I decided that I would take this one with me because I'd finished the other one first. And at the same time, I started on a pair of, knitting for the car, I started on a pair of house socks, which I've made before.
Straight off my foot.
So I finished one in a different colourway, which Catherine's borrowing while she's here. So I thought I'd fancy a second pair. So I started another pair. Now that looks a bit odd. This Millas House Shoes by Strickmiller, and you end up with the 2 pieces, and then you fold one bit inside the other, which actually then makes the shoe. I'll leave it like that for now. And so this is my second pair. The first pair I had cable detail down the front, but I didn't bother with that this time. I wanted to be really clever and do a bit of 2 colour work and have maybe a colour work pattern on the outside and a plain centre, but I couldn't quite work out how to do it. So in the end I worked out that even working out how to get the inside a different colour to the outside was a bit of a challenge.
Okay.
In terms of how I was going to do it. But then I decided I did work it out, and as you can see I've got one half green and one half blue. So the green probably will be the inside, I think is the inside, because that's where I started. I didn't quite get that right there, but I think that would be fine. It'll just be up the back of the inside heel. I'll have a blue stripe, that won't matter. And so the outside will be plain blue. So this time I think, well, when I've finished it, you see, because that goes in there.
It goes inside, yeah.
It goes inside one another. So,
so do you felt it? Because that obviously looks really quite big.
Yep.
For a foot at the minute.
Yep, that then goes in the washing machine. Now I thought I had the second one in my bag down here, but I can't find it. Don't know what's happened to that. So I'm basically on the second sock now, foot now. I've done the green and I'm just about to start on the blue.
Okay.
So I've done 1.5, and then my plan is to do a bit of embroidery on it afterwards. Okay. Yes, and so once you've made it, you basically put it in the washing machine and felt it.
Okay. So how do you know how big it's going to end up? Because it could felt lots, it could not felt much at all. Just a wing and a prayer.
It's a bit of a wing and a prayer, but also when I took it out of the washing machine, I then stuck it on my foot to get it to my size.
Okay, then kind of blocked it effectively.
Blocked it on my foot to get it to the right size.
Okay.
And actually recently, because I've been wearing them such a lot, they've got, as a lot of these things often do, they sort of get baggy, get a lot baggier. Don't look at I actually
well worn.
I'm
borrowing them today.
I then stuck them back in the washing machine fairly recently to refelt them again a bit more to bring them back into size, into shape again because they got a bit saggy with wear. Yeah. So that actually worked really well. So I'm quite pleased with that.
Cool.
So that's 2 of my works in progress. So I've only got the sleeves to do on this now. I have at last finished the body, and I just need to pick up for the sleeves. Then next.
So shall we? Do you want to talk about your cardigan next, maybe?
Okay.
And then I might interrupt then with mine, because then I think both of our next things will kind of merge together quite nicely, hopefully.
So actually, this my cardigan, I actually started probably getting on this time last year, if I'm honest.
Is it really that long?
Yeah. So it's probably about. Actually, it's just after Christmas, actually. It's in the new year last year.
Was it, though? Because we went to Unravel last year, and Unravel was last week.
That's right.
So actually, was it just under a year ago, because you were picking yarns for it at Unravel still?
Yes.
So it was then obviously a little bit after
although I didn't use them in the end.
No, you didn't, did you?
I do like to try.
So indecisive, this woman.
No, I do like to try and use yarns from my stash, because I have such a big stash. I really need to use some of it, and so I really but I didn't quite have enough for the colour range that I needed for this for the pattern. And I had quite a lot of Eden Cottage yarns, which they're beautiful yarns. So I thought, well, I'll just add to that, and I knew they were going to be at Unravel. So we went and chose some more colours from there. But then when I got back home, it still just didn't seem to work out properly. And I did half a front.
Was that how far you got in the end?
Yeah.
Half a front, blimey.
And I still wasn't happy. So I decided I'd actually buy the correct yarn, which might have been easier to have done in the first place, but there you go. And it's actually...
Say nothing more.
The pattern I'm using is a Wallin pattern from Westmoorland. And the design I'm doing is Lanty. So I don't know if I'll just put it that way around. So that's the back of Lanty. So I've now
absolutely stunning.
Now knitted all the pieces, and I've got one shoulder sewn on. This is actually not a first for me, but it's the first time I've actually knitted a garment in pieces rather than in the round all in one.
Can't have been first ever. You've been knitting. How many years have you been knitting?
It's the first one for a while.
How many years have you been knitting?
Probably about 51, 52.
52 years. So yes, there you go.
I was taught by my grandmother as a child, probably similar to Pippa's age, actually.
I can't remember, this is a bit of a tangent, sorry. I can't remember for sure whether it was you who taught me to knit or if it was one of the nans.
I know I taught you to knit.
I thought it was you, but I think they've also had input at other points.
And I'm sure Nanny Mary
I think Nanny Mary,
as well, but yeah, I think
does Nanny Jean knit?
Yeah,
or used to knit?
She used to knit. She can't now, but she used to knit as well. So yeah, we were coming from a knitting family.
Lots of knitting in our family.
I've got 2 sisters and they both knit.
My cousin.
Your cousin, both cousins. Well, and
Lizzie?
No, she crochets.
Okay. Emily of Amelia Bird Makes is on Instagram and
she does beautiful knitting.
Yeah, I don't think she's active on her account anymore, but at one point she had about 15,000 followers and she knits absolutely beautiful things.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, back to your...
So anyway, so I've got all the pieces made, and now that's just the other front. So now it's a case of sewing it together and doing the front band and the neck bands, but a different project got in the way, just as I was getting on quite nicely with it.
You can't go on to that yet because you've got to talk about what you've done with your sleeves.
Oh, why did you pick that out? No, as I say, this is the first piece I've done for a while where I'm going to have to seam it. And in retrospect, I wish I had done it in the rounds, which Mary Wallin in her book does say you can do. But
she says do it fully in the round and then steek, doesn't she?
I
said
so.
to Mum
or knitting backwards and forwards in the round.
So what I said that what I said that I would probably have done if it was me knitting it is I probably would have done the cardigan fronts and the back together and then split and done the, like, once you get to the armhole, split and then finish the fronts and the back. Yeah. But you've done the front and the back completely flat, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then talk about your sleeves because they're funny.
And then I got a bit fed up with going backwards and forwards. So I started the sleeves. I was doing 2 in tandem because I didn't want to run out of yarn with anything. I think it was. I can't remember now. And so I started flat, and I got as far as the cuff, end of the cuffs, and I thought I don't really want to do it backwards and forwards anymore. So I joined it and knitted the rest of the sleeve in the round. So I'm going to have to go back and
seam the cuff together.
And seam the cuff together. So, and also, I know it's probably cheating, I was religious with these pieces. You might notice, although I've missed a few at the top here, I've actually sewn all at the ends. Very good of me, because I couldn't bear the thought of sewing thousands of ends in at the end.
How many colours is it in total?
Oh, about 16, 17. I think it goes up to P in the alphabet.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. 16.
It is 16 colours, is it?
And learn the alphabet today.
And so I've sewed all the ends in as I went along, more or less. Well, I do a section and go back and sew the ends in, do a section, a bit more, sew the ends in. But of course, on the sleeves, I haven't done that. And this is the lazy bit of me thinking, because it's inside a sleeve.
Inside a seam,
do I just I might just leave it.
But in all fairness though, I am going to point out that your floats are really, really neat and lovely. It's really even, nice colour work.
This is my first Marie-Wallin project. I've always admired Marie-Wallin's projects.
And how many books have you got of hers as well? Quite a few, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, no, I think I've only got 2 or 3. I think I got 3. Or was it 2? I know. I just love Marie-Wallin books, and I would happily collect more of them. In fact, I looked at some at the Lace Knittery when I was there a week or 2 ago, which is the most fantastic yarn store, best in the southwest.
Not that she's biased or anything.
No, Debbie, who runs it, is absolutely fantastic, and it's the best yarn store in this area, definitely.
Yeah, she's probably right, to be fair. I can't think of one that would match it.
Yeah.
Well, on the X is meant to be really good, but it's been, I don't know if I've even been before, but I wouldn't say it's particularly local, really. Like, for me, where we live in Devon, it's a good 40 to 50 minutes into Exeter.
Yeah.
And it must be kind of similar for you guys here, I would imagine.
Probably. It's probably that far from here to get to the Lace Knittery. She's out on the junction, the Ilminster junction at the end of the 358 from Taunton, where it meets the 303.
Yeah.
You've got a few services. And
it's in the middle of nowhere. You wouldn't really expect to find somewhere like that there, but we went for lunch as well there.
Yeah, because
really
opposite in the same sort of courtyard area where it is, there's a lovely cafe, so that's ideal. Yeah. So that's my 3. That's 3 of my working projects.
And which pattern was that one?
This is Lanty.
Lanty.
Yeah, that's Lanty.
Okay, so first of all, mine aren't that exciting really. Mum's are much more impressive than mine. The first one I'm going to show you is this one. I've shown this one briefly before, and this is my Elton Pullover by Hozy Locatelli. And I've not really done an awful lot, and I don't know why I'm really showing it, apart from the fact I have physically picked it up since last time I podcast. So this is it. And basically, as much as you can see here, is the back panel finished. And again, this is a yarn that we picked up at Unravel last year. Last year, I won tickets to go to Unravel. I won them through the Wall Kitchen. And it was a bit of a last minute thing that we decided to go, wasn't it? And we went to see the guys on their stand, and they're so lovely and so fun. And I didn't really want to buy yarn for, again, the same reason as you. I've got far too much. But I came away with these. So these are 1 strand of Merino Silk 4-ply, and the other one is a Mohair Silk, and they're both in the colourway, now can I remember? Rainbow Amethyst Aurora, I think. But they are just the brightest, most fun colour. And those stripes of the lace with the 4-ply, you can't really see it, but it's just going to be really cool, really light, really summery. The main reason this project has languished over the winter is because I think I've spoken about before, I knit this all the way down. I did the back, the front, I joined in the round to do the body, and I did about 2 inches of the body. Then put it down, didn't pick it up for about 2 or 3 months, and then when I picked it up again, it was like, what size was I knitting? Because I wanted to put in the, I stopped doing the body when I ran out of one of the yarns, and I wanted to do the neckline.
I'm exactly the same with the green over the ocean, actually. I couldn't remember what size
so
I started.
I went to go do the neckline, looked at the stitches I needed to pick up from the neckline, and was like, oh, actually, I don't know what
size you're doing.
What size I'm doing. And then I was like, oh, okay, so I'll count my body stitches, because that should correspond with my size. Well, my body stitches sat directly between 2 sizes, and there was about 20 to 30 stitches between each size. I was like, I've gone somewhere seriously wrong here, haven't I? And my sole excuse for that is that when I did the first chunk of knitting on this, it was at a girls' weekend where there was lots of distractions and lots of alcohol drank. So the only thing I can think is that I just wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. So that's that one. I hope now... Another reason I haven't worked on it recently is because it's over the winter and it's a fairly lightweight sweater. So the idea is that I now hopefully crack on through it and I can wear it kind of in the spring. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it'd be a kind of more seasonally appropriate jumper to have finished, hopefully. Which probably won't happen, it'd be autumn and then I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to wear it again. But never mind. And yeah, then the other whip that I've got going is... I shared my new cast on in the last episode, and that was my Arthur Cardigan. And I have done an awful lot of work on this. So I think last time I showed this, I had the back panel finished. And now I have the back panel, the fronts, a body. Oh, where has it gone? There's a sleeve in there somewhere. A sleeve. And the start of another sleeve. So this has been, as you can tell, the main thing I've been working on recently. And yeah, this is really comfy, really snuggly, really cozy. I've knit the body probably longer than I should have, because it actually looked really quite large, and it's a alpaca with a mohair silk, and I think it's probably going to grow quite a lot in blocking. So hopefully it doesn't end up being too oversized, but I think it might end up fairly sizable. Yeah, so that's really come on. I've got some lovely buttons that I bought from Textile Garden. I'll put a picture on those because I didn't bring them with me to show today. But they are like a goldy colour to pick up the gold in this yarn.
What was the mohair one?
So the yarns on this is the black yarn is a kind of light DK / heavy foreplay, kind of a sport weight Viking of Norway yarn called Alpaca Storm. I don't know what the colourway was, but it's just the black one. And this mohair silk came from you.
Yes, that was
we kind of did a swap, didn't we? So Mum had the Stranded Dye Works yarn for her over the ocean jumper that we've already talked about. And then when, it's a good few weeks ago now, wasn't it? I came round and we just had a bit of a stash dive in yours, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I came across it's Adina's Home of Crafts yarn, a mohair silk,
which I believe I bought. Oh, I think that was a Bristol show we did at Chipping Sodbury last.
The Sodbury Yarn Over. I didn't go to that, did I?
Yeah, I think I bought that there.
You went with, I don't know, you went, didn't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Adina's Home of Crafts mohair silk, and I think the colourway on that was Witches Brew.
Possibly. I absolutely fell in love with it. When I saw the fibre and the skein, I had to have it. I didn't know what I was going to use it for, but I had to have it.
Which is why it ended up with me.
I know it's ended up with her. But that's fine, because I didn't know what I was going to use it for, even though I loved it.
So there was 4 50-gram skeins, wasn't there? And I've currently...
Were they 50 grams?
It's a silk, it's a lace weight, so it is a 50 gram, I think. So I've used, this is my last ball of the Alpaca Storm, but this is only the second ball of
it does go a long
the
way,
other one, the mohair silk. So I've got that much of a sleeve left to do. I think I will probably be into another ball.
Yeah.
But you're going to have the best part of 2 skeins more or less back, I think. So
It's got a beautiful gold running
It's
through
really
it.
lovely, isn't it? And the buttons I've really pick out that gold as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with that, and hopefully next time that might be a finished object. And actually I'll talk about my sock quickly as well, and then we go on to the shawl stuff.
Just wondering about Grandad, all right?
So yeah, the next thing I have to show is another sock project. I don't think I talked about this last time, so this I think is a new cast on for you guys, and it's not that exciting. I think in the last episode I had finished my sock tube, and I talked about how I'd put in the heels and done all bits and pieces, and I wanted to do another one, and here's another one. So that's that one. Isn't that lovely and bright and so much fun, that yarn? And this is another sock set from Stripey Cat Yarns. I think this colourway is the Harry Potter Book 2 colourway. Basically, she did a series of yarns that were all based on the original covers of the books. And this is number 2, I said, didn't I? Yes, number 2. I didn't bring the contrast with me, but it's that grey at the top. And yeah, I'm literally going to do exactly the same as I did with the last one. I've started with a toe. I'm going to just keep knitting nice and plain until that's all used up. And then put a toe on the other end and then cut them in half and then blah blah, you know the rest.
Oh, that's clever.
Have you done that before? You haven't done that before?
No.
Yeah, basically last year when we went to France, I wanted something in the car that was going to be really easy to knit. So I literally, and also because these are 50 gram skeins, usually I'd have like 100 gram skein, and the one I did last time was for Scott, and I would usually use about 70 grams for a pair of socks for him because he's got the bigger feet and he has a 72 stitch cast on. So rather than having to worry about kind of where I was putting heels and bits and pieces while we were travelling, I just decided to do a sock tube. So toe goes on, then just knit round and round and round and round and round until that's all used up. Then the way I did it anyway was I then put a toe on the other end and then cut them directly in half, put the cuffs on, and then did an afterthought heel, which was the first time I'd done an afterthought heel. I was quite pleased with it, really. So yeah, that's that one. And yeah, this one's for me, so this is a 64 stitch, so I will probably get quite a bit longer foot out of this, or cuff out of this one, not cuff.
Leg.
A longer leg out of this one than I did for him. And yeah, so that's that one. It's nice and straightforward. So yeah. Then, the next thing. Why are you laughing at me?
No. Carry on.
So the other thing that's been on and off this podcast for probably every episode since I started has been my Leyland shawl, and that, as you know, is a pattern that I've been working on for probably years now. Literally years, I think it is now. I think
it's only about a year, I think.
I think this version of it's been on the needles about a year.
Yeah.
But it's been
a while.
A while, let's just say. And I'm going to show it again here briefly, even though you've seen it all finished. It's this one here, which comes, this is absolutely enormous, it's there. Keeps going, and that's the other end. And the reason I'm showing you this one today is because I've been working quite hard on getting the pattern all finished and done, ready for testing. And the PDF version anyway, came back from my tech editor this week. So I've done the final finishing touches on the pattern, and it is pretty much ready to go for testing now. The only thing I am missing for this one is finished photos. And that was going to be on my list of things to do today because Mum has a really, really beautiful garden, which would have been really lovely for my garden-inspired shawl to have been photographed in. But all it's done is absolutely chuck it down all day in true British weather, hasn't it? So we haven't got outside yet, and time's now getting on, it's nearly 3 o'clock. So I doubt we're going to get out today because I still don't think it's much brighter, although it might be physically not raining now. But it's here, I brought it with me, and it's going to be in testing really, really soon. If The test call has gone live by the time this goes out. Then I will put all the information in the description below if you would be interested in testing it. I'm going to be running effectively 2 tests. One for the PDF version and then one for the interactive open pattern format version. And I don't even know how many testers I'm going to aim to get this time. I think it's a one size shawl, so it doesn't need to be tons. But I would like it really well tested, both from the PDF version and the interactive version. So yeah, that's that one. Check it out. If there's test call information, there should be by the time this goes live. And yeah, which leads you on to yours.
My 4th work in progress.
Your 4th work in progress.
And the latest, which I started about a month ago, was it? Less than that?
I don't know. Yeah, something. It might be less than that. You've really whizzed through it.
Hang on to that end. And as you can see, if you might recognise the pattern, it's another
Leyland shawl.
Leyland shawl.
So this is my mum's version. She has been the first person to get her eyes on the pattern.
I took a fancy to it when it was only about that long on her.
Well, mine, like this bit here.
Sitting on her windowsill.
Up there.
In her cottage, and I thought, I must knit that pattern. And so here I am, like doing a pre-test knit.
Yeah, so the pattern went to her really quite rough still. I think, in fact, actually, I think you only got half a pattern to start with because I hadn't finished writing all of it. And so there's been a few iterations we've gone through, a few chart changes, etc. But this is how far you've got now, isn't it?
So I'm just turned halfway. So
so you've done the curve there, haven't you?
Curve, and now I'll start going back down the other side now. So that should be a bit quicker. Yeah. I
love your colours actually. It looks really fab. What yarns are you using?
Well, this is obsolete yarn. It's Artisano Silk Lace, Alpaca Silk Lace.
So you're holding 2 strands together, aren't you?
Yeah, so it's lace weight, which I'm holding 2 strands together. But I think it works beautifully.
It looks really lovely. The colours are really striking.
Again, I wasn't going to buy fingering yarn for it when I've got a ton of...
And that's the great thing with shawl patterns though, isn't it? Yeah. Because providing you don't mind if the sizing comes out slightly different here or there.
And with shawls it doesn't matter.
Actually, you can kind of do what you like, can't you? As long as you're happy with the fabric it creates.
Which I am.
Which, it looks really lovely.
It looks like it's blue and grey, but it's actually a very soft lilac, but it looks more grey than lilac, but the shade is called lilac, funnily enough. But really and of course with lace weight yarn you can just double it up or triple it up or
whatever you like, can't you? You've got loads of this Artisano yarn though, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's discontinued. It's discontinued.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
They went bust, I think.
Did they go bust, Artisano?
Well, they stopped trading for whatever reason. I don't know exactly what reason, but they were stopped trading probably about 6 years ago.
It's really that long.
Or even could be longer than that. It's quite a number of years ago.
Yeah.
But
I'm pleased. It looks really good.
I don't know. That's helping my stash.
Helps your stash, that's very true. So and I think that's all of the knitty content, isn't it? We have got one more project each to share.
Similar but different.
So I very recently, so it's been a long-term project of mine, is I have a English paper pieced quilt that I'm hand sewing, and this has been a project in progress for 10 years this year, isn't it? And I'll show it to you first and foremost because that's probably the easiest place to start. This is my quilt. I think you may have seen it before, I can't remember. But this is made out of all fabric that I used for bunting for my wedding. And we got married 10 years next month. So yes, it is 10 years old, this project. So for our wedding, we had this lovely hall in the village here, actually. That we had a marquee put up inside the hall, and then I made, I looked this up earlier, 116 metres worth of bunting, and I think it was about 250 flags on this bunting.
Charlie's barking
again. And so after the wedding, I was like, what on earth am I going to do with 116 metres worth of bunting? I've kept half of it. We've got about half left, and we use it for parties, particularly in the garden. It comes out kind of quite a lot. for different various things. You always need bunting for something, don't you? And then the other half I cut up into these 1-inch hexagons. I think there's about 850 hexagons. It took forever. And so far, this is as far as I've got. So I think it's about 17 across, 16 or 17 across now. 22 that way. And yeah, I'm about halfway through sewing the lines together. I have all of the individual hexagons in strips like this. And then I'm about halfway through sewing the strips together. And the reason that I'm showing you this week is because this is the sort of thing that I won't work on for 10 months of the year, probably even 11 months of the year. And then all of a sudden I'll go, I really fancy picking that up. And then I'll pick it up, feverishly work on it for 2 or 3 weeks. My hands then get really achy from hand sewing. I put it down and then I won't see it again until next year. So this has seen some love recently. I think I've gone probably about that much. I think it's what I've added in this stint. And yeah, it's coming along. It's going to be slow. I'm not going to promise that it's going to be finished this year or next year or probably in 5 years' time. But here it is. And now Mum is going to introduce her English paper pieced quilt and tell us about that.
Look, Catherine thinks she's been doing it for a long time, but not as long as me. Now this piece, it's bigger hexagons than Catherine's. I started this must be a good 41, 42 years ago.
Yeah. Older than me.
Likewise, similar to Catherine, I know it's obviously where she gets the trait from. You start these things, you put them to one side and they come out in every little while. Sometimes I just look at it and put it back away again. Sometimes I do a little bit, but I don't think I've touched this now for probably best part of 10 years.
Really, that long? So you've not touched this for as long as I've been making one?
Probably, yes. But I do get it out sometimes and think, yes, I really want to get on and do some of that, but then I end up knitting instead.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Isn't it? What I like about... Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I was going to say I have recently knitted... I started off as a sewer mainly, but the reason I got into knitting more heavily was because you could sit in front of the telly and do it.
Yeah.
But actually that's not really true for this project because it's hand sewn. You can very much sit in front of the telly and do it. That's not the excuse this time round.
We have a person.
Come on then. So
I've got now because of Catherine being here with hers, I decided it'd be interesting to get mine out. As you say, a slightly different approach. I've got the traditional sort of style rose set flower.
Yeah, whereas with mine, I literally got all of my colours, and I think I took about 2 days before children, obviously, because who has 2 days to do anything anymore? Laid them all out on a table, pieced them around into a random pattern, and then labelled them all into what order I wanted them in.
But if you think when I started this, it was done much more in the traditional how things had been. I think nowadays
anything goes.
It's so much more creative, and with the bold colours and the way you've done it, I much prefer yours than I do this. But anyway, I've got instruction now because somebody else admired this so much that I promised to give it to her, didn't I?
Which is, how cool is that? That is going to be like an heirloom piece, Pippa.
So that means that I am going to have to get on and finish it because somebody wants it.
It's nice, isn't it, Pip?
The only difference between Catherine's is instead of using paper hexagons, I've cut out interfacing.
Yes, mine's got paper hexagons in the back that I'm taking out. And
I've got quite the thin gauge, very thin gauge interfacing, which I'm leaving in because Is
it iron-on interfacing?
No.
It's sewn in.
It's sewn in, but actually it probably would have been easier if you've used iron-on. But again, probably 40 odd years ago, they didn't have it around so much.
Well, I wasn't going to say, but you know.
But yes, I'm definitely. Once I've got my works in progress sorted out, although after
there's always another work in progress that gets added to the list, though, Mum.
Well, this year I want to, once I get these projects finished, and do 2 Christmas jumpers, one for me and one for my husband, ready for next Christmas. So I really ought to start them soon. Otherwise, it just won't get done for Christmas because other things just get in the way, and then you realise it's 3 weeks till Christmas and you've got 2 jumpers to make.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen.
That's why I don't gift knit, because I just don't have the, I
actually wanted to make some Christmas decorations, some bunting and things like that for Christmas, which may either be with fabric.
We have some Christmas bunting, don't we?
Or it could be with crochet, another skill I need to master this year, or even knitted. So I haven't decided quite what medium to do my Christmas decorations out. But again, it's the sort of thing you need to do before it gets too close to Christmas, really. So that's
that one.
That's that one.
And does that mean we're running to a natural
Nanny.
end?
I think we are.
I think we are, aren't we?
Nanny.
Which means that's perfect timing for you to come in and say your goodbyes, Pip. What are we going to say to Nanny quick?
Didn't you make this 41 years ago?
I started it 41 years ago. Yeah.
How do you remember it's 41 exactly?
I think because I remember taking it on holiday. We lived in Sussex at the time, and we came on holiday to the West Country, and we stayed not actually that far from where Catherine now lives. And it was a project I brought with me, and I think I've probably got an old photo somewhere of me doing it.
We might have to try and find that, mightn't we?
I haven't found it recently.
I'll see what I can do.
And so that's... And I knew
remember it because of that.
And I know roughly how old, and I think, I won't tell you how old, I was quite young. I was a young adult at the time.
Very coy.
I think I might have still been a teenager, even just about. Yeah. Or just reached 20-ish.
There we go.
Yeah.
A little bit of a giveaway there. So Pippa, would you like to do the honours of closing the episode? What do all the YouTubers on your tablet say at the end of things?
Like and subscribe.
Like, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this episode. A little bit of a different one today, but actually it's been good fun. I think it's gone well. So maybe I will invite Mum on the podcast a little bit more often. Maybe she should become a regular, because actually I think it's been way better with her than it usually is with my hectic mind on my own. And thank you for joining us also, Pippa, and talking about your knitting.
And now time for a cup of tea and...
Cake, chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake that I made.
Again, thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.
With a lot of sprinkles in it.
Anyone else going to wave?
Sorry, bye.